Hi, everyone. Welcome to Aurelia's Virtual Book Club. We have Dylan J. Morgan here to talk to us about the Deadlands. Hi, Dylan.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thanks. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Awesome. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Personally, me
Yeah,
personally,
yeah.
yeah, I was born in New Zealand, um, and moved to the UK when I was 9 years old. My parents were from the UK, so moved back there when I was nine, and grew up there. Spent most of my life there, 24 years, and then met a Norwegian girl over there, and we had kids, and now I'm living in Norway.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Sounds pretty cool. Norway is a great place. I've visited there a few times and I know a bit
you've
about
been
the
there.
culture. So,
Oh, that's cool.
um,
That's good.
yeah, my parents do Scandinavian folk dancing, so they
Oh,
like
really?
met they met doing like Norwegian dance out in
So
out in
cool.
California.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's good. That's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Um
So you've been here a few times then?
yeah, so when I was I think I was like 10 maybe. Or maybe like nine and a half, I was in a choir and we did a tour to Norway and Denmark.
Okay.
Um, and then a few years ago, I spent the whole summer. We have some family friends just outside of Oslo, so I did a summer program and learned Norwegian and studied Scandinavian government and politics at
Oh, really?
University of Oslo for a couple of months.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
it
Interesting.
was really fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so how did you get the idea for the Deadlands?
Well, basically the idea came from a video game. Um,
Okay.
I've been was playing an awful lot on a game called Rage
Okay.
on the Xbox, and it's like a first person shooter game.
Okay.
It's set on Earth. It's like a post apocalyptic game after a meteorite has hit the planet, and basically you're a character that's walking around, getting all these missions, and you're fighting against bandits and mutants and things like that.
Okay.
So it's quite a fun game, but there's one mission in particular where you have to go into the city, and it's like this, city with all these skyscrapers that are on fire and all that sort of stuff, and you got to go through the city, and there's all these mutants that jump out at you, and you got to shoot them and things like that.
Mhm.
And that was my favorite quest in that game. And I thought this would make a cool film, a movie. And
Yeah.
I thought, well, maybe it'll make a good book as well. So it sort of started the old cogs turning in my mind then, and I just came up with an idea of having a bunch of soldiers in a city that's been devastated by nuclear war, and all this, the population's been transformed into mutants, and just put them in the situation, see what happens. So that was basically the idea for it.
Yeah. That's really cool that it started from like an idea of a video game and stuff. I think it really added to the cinematic effect of your language. Like every sentence to me as I'm like have been reading it has been it makes me feel like I'm in a movie theater by
Oh, really?
reading it. So
Oh, well, that's good to
so that
hear. That's
definitely
good to hear.
comes through. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I played that particular mission over and over again as I was writing. Just to get the feel of being in the
Yeah.
situation and things like that. So yeah, I tried my best with it. Anyway. I think it came out all right.
So, I guess, what made you decide to to write it and publish it and get it out there as opposed to just, having this idea and doing it for yourself?
Well, I've already published a few books
Okay.
prior to this. I've got 8 books in total out on
Yeah.
Amazon. So I sort of I'd had, I think it was about 3 or 4 books I published already, and I'd started another book, and then this idea came in just after I began, the book that I was working on, and the Deadlands was so strong in my mind that I put this other book to one side and just started on the Deadlands. And every book I write, I don't go into it with the idea that I'm definitely going to publish this. I'm going to write. I write the book first, and then I see if I like it, and then I see what feedback I get from my proofreaders and things like that. And then if they like it and think that it's good, then I decide, well, yeah, maybe I'll publish this one then, because I've got a couple that I've not done anything with because I don't think they're quite up to the standard as what I have released so far. So I thought I'll put this one ahead of the book that I had been writing first. So yeah, just decided to go with it, and it turned out all right, and I'm quite pleased with it.
Cool. So how has your writing process changed over the course of writing all of these different books?
It's gotten better. It's definitely gotten better. My first few stories, I started off writing short stories mainly. Started off probably about 11, 12 years ago writing short stories. Published a few. Some were rubbish, some were okay. And then it's just a natural progression, really, going from short stories to longer stories, and then into full-length books. So obviously I'd written quite a few books before I wrote The Deadlands, so it was my writing at that stage was a lot better than my earlier stuff, and hopefully in a few years' time the books that I release then will be a lot better than The Deadlands. Yeah. It's a progression for me, really. So yeah.
Constant improvement.
Yeah, well,
you learn
this
from
yeah, what you do, you learn from your own books, and you learn from reading other people's books as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I don't know. I find it really interesting to watch different types of movies and TV shows to try and figure out what makes them as popular as they are and stuff like that too, for figuring out how story works from a more conceptual sort of perspective.
Good idea, that, yeah. I don't usually do that today.
And it gives you an excuse to go see things like the Avengers.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I'm doing research. I'm not just here by myself for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything about your professional background that has either helped with your writing or that you've had to overcome to write better?
My professional, no, not really at all. No, I mean it's I try and keep my work and my family life separate to to my writing. All my stories and that, it's all up in my head. It's just my imagination. I don't, I write about horror, gore, and people getting killed and ripped apart and things like that. But that's not who I am as a person.
Right.
It's just my imagination that's that bad. You know what I mean? It's not me.
Yeah.
So it's just escapism, I suppose. Really, my work and my family, was one thing, and then I escaped then into stories. So it's just a way of releasing all the demons that are in my head. Because if I don't write the stories, then these ideas, they just stay with me and plague me. So I need to get them out.
Yeah. It's like when you have to complain about someone because you don't want to have to have an issue with them, so you go talk to someone who doesn't know them and will never meet them and are these are all the things I don't like. And then once the 20 minutes of ranting has been done, you're like, okay.
You feel a lot better then. That's right. Yeah, you
Yeah.
calm down then, you feel better. I mean, yeah, a lot of the Deadlands and Flesh and all my other books that I've written, I don't think about them now
Hmm.
because they're written. But I mean,
Yeah.
and the books I'm writing now, those are the ones that are constantly recycling in my mind. Um,
Yeah.
so I just need to get them out. So yeah.
Yeah. So, so what was the most interesting thing you learned when you were, writing that like came from like maybe doing some research into technology and the future side of things, or was it completely entirely imaginary?
Well, yeah, a lot of it was imaginary. I've never written post-apocalyptic fiction before. The Deadlands is my first try at that. I usually just basic horror. Um, so this was my first attempt at it, and I read some books by Dan Abnett, I think his name is.
Hmm.
He writes like sort of like futuristic military books.
Okay.
Because I was having soldiers in this book, I wanted to get a feel for how that genre is written.
Hmm.
So I guess that was my research in that area, and then uh, basically it's just my imagination, and with the characters. I tend to live my stories through my characters. I imagine myself with them as they're going
Hmm.
through their journey. So uh, all the weapons that are in there, I sort of come up with them all myself. I spent the weekend sort of creating these weapons and things, which was it was good fun,
Cool.
Yeah, creating all
Yeah.
these futuristic guns and things like that. So that was good fun. Yeah, and I think I've come to decide now that post-apocalyptic fiction is good. It's fun. It's fun to write, so I really enjoy it. So I think I'll be moving not totally away from horror, but I will be diverting, to post-apocalyptic fiction now and writing
Hmm.
more of that than what I have done before. So
Yeah. Well, and I think it lends itself to, you know, cross-genre stuff. Like you can have post-apocalyptic horror, but you can have post-apocalyptic thriller, and you can have post-apocalyptic like action adventure.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
it's kind of
it is a genre that you can cross with
yeah.
others. Like there is horror aspects in the Deadlands, and a bit of sci-fi as well. I think because it's not set on planet Earth. It's set in the solar system that I've made up, and
Hmm.
so it's set in mankind's third age, whenever that is. I have no idea. It's just something that I thought of at the time.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of sci-fi slash horror slash post-apocalyptic. So it's a bit of everything, really.
Yeah. Um, so tell us a bit about the central like themes to it, There's this world, this, you know, that's been sort of put on hold because of the apocalypse, and then Elaine has to figure out stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, the story starts on another planet that's in this solar system. I've got two planets that are in the habitable zone
Hmm.
that circle around the same sun, and one is closer to the sun, so it's a lot warmer, tropical climate, and
Hmm.
another one's far away, so it's cold with bad winters and stuff. And that's where Lane is. He's on the distant planet, and
Okay.
he's a bounty hunter who's been discharged from the army because of a tragic accident that he caused. And he's coerced to rejoin the army again and sent on this secret mission to the sister planet
Hmm.
to rescue the president, who's come out of cryogenic state to after the nuclear war. And it's basically him and 20 other soldiers that get dispatched to this planet, and then they have to, because they think the planet is empty. It's all forms of life have been wiped out after the nuclear war and everything.
Hmm.
So they think it's going to be an easy ride, but of course it turns out not to be so, and they have complications as soon as they enter the atmosphere, and then they find out that there's life on the planet, and this life is hostile and it wants to kill them, and things like that. So they have to fight their way through the Deadlands, which is the wasteland of what this planet has become, and find a way into the city before,
Hmm.
and then make their way through the city then to try and reach the president. So it was basically, I'd say it's more of a character-driven book. This it
Hmm.
focuses a lot on Lane and the other members of this team, and what they have to go through, and how they try and survive this situation that they've been forced into.
Hmm.
And of course, there's conflict within all within the team, and there's bad blood between Lane and a few others from past past events and things. So yeah, there's a lot of conflict, and a lot of danger and bullets flying and excitement and things like that. So
Yeah, cool. It sounds like a really action-y, like self-discovery sort of, like you have to follow your orders, but then you have to figure out how to sort of do that in a way that you're comfortable with, that you can live with afterwards and stuff like that.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, this
yeah.
is it. There's a lot of demons in Lane's past as well that back come back to haunt him on this mission. So
Hmm.
he has to deal with a lot of private struggles, as well as dealing with the threat of all the mutants within the city, as well
Hmm.
as having to deal with the lieutenant of of this group of soldiers who doesn't like him very much, and so he has a lot of personal issues and public issues within the other soldiers and that. So yeah, it's a tough ride for him.
Hmm. So, what should people be the most excited about to learn as they read it?
That's a tough question. I don't know. It's Voyage of Discovery. Yeah, it's more a Voyage of Discovery for Lane than for the reader, really. To be honest, I think
Okay.
yeah, I just think that the reader. I hope the reader will just enjoy it, and hope that everybody lives and be carried along on the journey by the excitement, and and the threat of the constant threat of death, really, that the
Hmm.
soldiers have to face.
Cool.
So
So, I think that's it for me for now. Um,
okay,
Thank you so much for coming and chatting.
yeah, no
It's
worries.
been fun.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Yeah.